Good afternoon and welcome to Cleveland State University. We're so glad that all of you are joining us today. Really a celebration to introduce our new head men's basketball coach, Dennis Felton. As Greg had mentioned, it's the 15th head coach in the history of our program. And before we even get started, how about giving Coach Felton and his wife, Melanie, a nice round of applause. A few thank yous. I'd like to thank President Berkman and CSU's General Administration, Central Administration for their tremendous support throughout this process. Our search committee, Amy Dupree-Chambers, she was kind of that person behind the curtain that dealt with all logistics and details. Thank you, Amy. Our search consultant, Collegiate Sports Associates, Todd Turner, Dave Odom, and Jim Miller, and the CSU family and the Cleveland community. Before you meet the man of the hour, let me tell you not only a little bit more about his background, but why Dennis Felton is the next head men's basketball coach at Cleveland State University. Dennis comes to us from the University of Tulsa, where he was the assistant head coach. During his 3 years at Tulsa, the program won 59 games and earned 2 postseason berths, including an NCAA appearance last year. Previously, Coach Felton served as the head men's basketball coach at the University of Georgia and Western Kentucky University. At Georgia, he inherited a troubled program and led him to 3 postseason appearances in 5 years, an SEC tournament title, only the Bulldogs' second in 125 years of playing basketball, and an NCAA berth. At Western Kentucky, he led his team to 6 straight conference championships and 3 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances, while also having, I know this will make a lot of you happy, while also having a 100% graduation rate among his student athletes. Coach Felton also spent 4 years in the NBA, including a stint as the director of pro player personnel for the San Antonio Spurs, the organization that many, in addition to our Cleveland Cavaliers, look as the gold standard of the National Basketball Association. So why Dennis Felton? A significant benefit of leading or be part of a search process is you do a significant amount of due diligence on the various candidates, including talking to athletic directors, conference commissioners, coaches, retired, and those that are still on the bench who have experiences or have crossed paths or have competed against coaches in the candidate pool. The more folks in the basketball world we talked about Dennis Felton, the more there was to like. An individual who was a person of integrity, very high character. Others stated, many stated, an individual who's a better person than a basketball coach, which is saying a lot because Dennis is a tremendous basketball coach. An individual who's been the CEO of a program, who has lived and possesses the blueprint for success. An individual who has served as the face of the program at the highest level and will be a first-rate and first-class ambassador for this university and for this community. A winner, someone who has won at all levels and has a history of being successful regardless of the odds. A very high basketball IQ. I heard that a lot. This is a smart guy, high basketball IQ and a great teacher of the game. And his resume is very diverse, as I stated earlier, with backgrounds in both college basketball and the NBA. His teams play hard-nosed defense with an up-tempo pressure style of basketball, which is attractive to both recruits and CSU basketball fans. Dennis Felton is a leader and developer of men, and his background confirms a coach who develops young men on the court and a high level of performance in the classroom and in the community, all under the umbrella of doing things the right way. Coach Felton is a great husband and father. His family is important to him both at home and as the head coach of the CSU Vikings and our men's basketball student athletes. I want to acknowledge his sons, Niles and Jazz, who are not here today. Once again, welcome his wife, Melanie. Before I close, I just want to quickly acknowledge Coach Gary Waters, and let's give Coach Waters a nice hand. We certainly want to build on all the great things that Coach Waters did as he built the foundation of this program. And his men's basketball players who are here today, who I met with after the day after he announced his retirement, I mentioned to those young men that their lives have been enriched and is much better because Gary Waters was part of their lives. So thank you, Coach Waters. Well, in closing, once again, Coach Felton, the 15th coach in the history of our program, and we're looking forward to you making some fresh history in our men's basketball program under your leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pleasure that I get to introduce the next head men's basketball coach of Cleveland State University, Dennis Felton.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you very much. And thank all of you for being here, especially our players. I'd really like to thank you guys for showing up in support of the occasion. We've barely had a chance to get to know each other yet. We've met as a team and spent a little bit of time talking, and I'm just getting started with getting a chance to spend time with all of them individually, and I'm really looking forward to that process getting going and continuing. I'd like to thank Dr. Berkman and Mike for the opportunity to be here and be the head coach at Cleveland State University. Very, very excited about the vision that Mike has for Cleveland State athletics, and very excited for all the continuing good things that are happening here at the university under Dr. Berkman's leadership. I'd also like to thank Coach Waters and acknowledge that I have some really big shoes to fill. And part of the reason is because of all the success that he had during his tenure here at Cleveland State. But what you may not know is that Coach Waters has served as a mentor to me since almost my first days in the profession. He's a man and a coach that I looked up to, not only because of the obvious leadership strengths that he brings, but even more so that he was so accessible, as a head coach to a young guy like me getting into the profession, and just so willing to share and help, and in any way that I could grow and figure this industry out, and kind of get a grasp for what it was about and what I was doing. So Coach, really appreciate you being here too, and sharing this with us. I'd like to thank my wife Melanie, and we have, and believe me, all of you will get to know Melanie, because Melanie never met a stranger. If I had nearly the ability to get out and touch people the way she does, I'd be a lot further. But she's a big part of me, and a big part of and she'll be a big part of what we're doing here with Cleveland State basketball. And we have two sons. Jazz is about to graduate from Western Kentucky University. He went back to where I once coached when he spent 5 years of his life growing up, and he's been a manager for the basketball program there. And then our youngest son Niall, he's a freshman at Georgia State University, where he's playing on the basketball team as a walk-on, and really enjoying being back in Atlanta. He loves Atlanta, and he was kind of chomping. We ripped him out of high school during the middle of his career to go to Tulsa, and he was really good about it. But he was ready to get back. So, that family is my family is part of our family now, and I can't tell you how important that is to me. A lot of you do understand what a challenge it is to be a major college head coach today, and what a grind it is, and how much energy and time that it consumes. And no head coach has any chance for success without a family as supportive as the one I have. So they're always really a prominent part of everything that I do. I'm really excited to be here at Cleveland State and to be your basketball coach. I view Cleveland State to be an outstanding university that is constantly growing. I think these are really exciting times for Cleveland State. Our stature is just growing on the national landscape, and so obviously that's the vehicle. That's why we're all here, and our basketball program is just one small part of it. But you've got a great university in a great city. A great city, really. Cleveland, the city, was a big part of my attraction to this university and to this job. I'm a city guy at heart. I just love being in the city. And in my profession, you rarely get to control, the kind of town or size city or anything that you live in, because there's such a finite, amount of opportunities out there for, major college basketball coaches, and they're in all kinds of, environments. And my wife and I, we've always looked forward to living back in the city. And of course, this isn't just any city. I view Cleveland as a city that's on fire right now, with the way it's growing economically, the way it's all the resources and outlets and things that you can do to not only succeed at what you're doing, but enjoy your time doing it. Enjoy the people that you get a chance to associate with, and we really look forward to being a big part of that fabric of Cleveland. One thing that also everybody, and this is everybody across the nation knows this, is the loyalty of its sports fans. I mean, there's nothing like Cleveland sports fans. And, it's well chronicled now because of recent events, but, Cleveland sports fans are fans who have persevered, through a lot of challenges and ups and downs and tough times to now, become a city of champions. And I think that has something to do with the fact that Cleveland is a city on fire. And we plan on becoming a part of that. We plan on becoming a program that leverages our opportunities to learn from, whether it's the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Indians, the Browns. I'm really looking forward to the opportunities to share and exchange with those folks on everything from how to put on an event in a first-class way and attract fans, to the coaches of how to best manage your team and raise your level of performance and all of those things. But it's that, again, that's a real advantage I believe we have here at Cleveland State that we plan on taking full advantage of. Before today, I've had the opportunity to take over two other basketball programs. Both times at Western Kentucky and at Georgia, the programs were in severe distress. Not only failing on the court, but other problems surrounding the programs that have made it a really steep challenge. And in 10 years as a head coach, I've been fortunate enough to be a part of teams that have won 7 conference championships. And throughout that experience, what I've learned is that to succeed at that level, it takes a great total team effort. And of course, you're used to coaches saying that, team effort, of course, you have to have great team chemistry and compete as a team and do the things you have to do to perform on the court. But I'm not just talking about our team of players and coaches who go out there and battle every game. I'm talking about the entire team. I'm talking about the university team. I'm talking about the city of Cleveland team. I know as much confidence as I have in myself to be able to, lead and do good things and show the way. And I know that I can't do it by myself. Nobody can. So I am really going to lean on CSU and on the Cleveland community to join in and jump in and be a part of this movement, because the way I look at it, we're not interested in just winning. We want to do some outrageous things at Cleveland State. And that means we want to, of course we want to win championships. We want to compete for national championships, and that means, making it to the NCAA tournament and advancing, while at the same time we're doing a great job of helping each one of our players reach their dreams and ambitions. I see basketball coaching as just one small part of what I do in my role as a basketball coach, because at the college level, you're getting young men from 17 to 22 years old, which are really the most important years of their life in terms of what impact and what it's going to say about the rest of their lives. So we plan on doing all those things, but we also plan on, we plan on almost, transcending all of that. We want to become a dominant program. And we've got our work cut out for us. A lot goes into that, and that's why I alluded to the fact that, it's not, I can't do it by myself. It's going to take an entire team effort, and I'm enlisting and, the help of everyone, and get used to seeing my face, because I'm going to be out and about and engaging and connecting as much as, you know, a 24-hour day permits. I really, really want to connect and have my family and I become a big, big part of this community and bring you guys in and allow you to have an impact on what we're building too. Lastly, our basketball team, you know, how we plan to play. You know, one of the things that I told Mike as we were talking about this opportunity, I'm a far better coach now than I was, obviously, at the beginning when I first got, you know, that head coaching job at Western Kentucky as a young guy. But I'm even far better than I was the last time I was on the sideline at the University of Georgia. These last 5 years 8 years have been tremendous to me. There's a reason why I worked in the NBA, and there's a reason why I worked for the Spurs. I wanted to grow. I wanted to learn. It was the first time in my professional life I had the opportunity to do whatever it is I wanted to do. And I always, you know, there's a lot of good things that happen in basketball at the NBA level. You know, those coaches get to spend 24 hours a day working on just basketball, and I wanted to benefit from that. And then while I was also doing that, it gave me the flexibility to travel around the country and share with other coaches constantly. I mean, I've been around and, you know, you name it. I've been in their gym spending 2 or 3 days there, 2 and 3 days there. And you don't get to do that when you're in the grind as a head coach. You just don't have the time to have that kind of experience. And then my experience with Frank Haith at the University of Tulsa has been tremendous for me because he's a brilliant offensive mind. I mean, brilliant. And so even though I'm this far into my career, I've still been growing and learning these last 3 years at Tulsa, which has been a great blessing. So I say all that to say I'm more equipped to be a really, really good coach now than I have ever been in my life. I'm going to have more flexibility. I'm going to have more tricks in my bag. I'm going to have more answers to questions to challenges that arise during the course of a season from your opponents, during the course of a game. I just, you know, and I said flexibility. You know, I was not nearly as flexible and prepared to be as flexible before when I was a head coach as I am now. So now I'm inheriting a new team that I have to get to know. I have to find out all of our strengths and weaknesses and how to best position each one of our players to give our team the best chance to succeed and all those things. And that's when all these good experiences that I've accumulated will come in handy. So you know, it's hard to know exactly what we're going to need to do to give ourselves the best chance for success in year one. But I can tell you, generally speaking, we're always going to be a very, very aggressive, attack-oriented team on both sides of the floor. You know, for me, it starts on defense. I want to be one of the hardest teams in the country to score on. And as long as you can do that, you can compete with anybody. Our teams will always be the most prepared team. We are meticulous of our due diligence that we do in scouting and preparation, and we do a great job of giving our players everything they need to know about our opponents so they won't be caught off guard, giving our players a game plan that we all can go into the game and be confident in. And so those things will be constants. Offensively, we want to play fast. We want to push keep pressure on the opponent and push the ball up the floor as fast as we can, looking for opportunities to score in the first 6 seconds. As our personnel evolves, as we build our roster, you know, with classes of recruiting, that will impact everything that I'm talking about. But and then when we can't score in transition, we're going to be a team that plays with a lot of space and a lot of movement, where every player has the space to attack the rim, attack the paint off the dribble, create rotation, create long closeouts, and we're going to be a team that really, really shares everything, especially the ball. That we share the ball and we make each other better. I think one of my strengths over the years as a head coach is finding a way to help our players overachieve and our teams overachieve. And one simple element to that is just, you know, playing so hard, so tough, and so together, where every shot a player gets is easier because we shared the ball and we made that extra play to get a shot that's easier to make. So offensively, you know, really, really pushing tempo. really playing, opening up the rim and playing with a lot of space and movement. We would like to be able to make really, really good use of the three-point shot. Of course, I'll have to find out, how good a team, we'll have this year. Three-point shooting will be, this summer will be huge. We'll have we will flat be getting after it this spring and summer. And it's a different summer than any other summer because it'll start out with us just getting to know each other and me figuring it out and putting a game plan together for next season.
To use Coach Felton's comments and to welcome the Felton family to the Cleveland State family and the Thomas family to the Cleveland State family, I think you inherit an amazing culture in athletics. This year, the mean GPA of our student athletes was 3.2. This started with athletic directors who set a tone. First, Lee Reed, who set that tone and walked the walk. John Parry, who for the last 5 years has ably led the program and kept that culture intact. And now Mike Thomas, who I made very clear to me the maintenance of this culture and the ability of these young men to, at the end of their career, walk across the stage, young men and young women, and receive a degree is paramount. So I also want to add my appreciation to Coach Gary Waters, the winningest coach in Cleveland State University history. And he epitomizes in his leadership, in his mentorship, in his character, he epitomizes what you want to have in an athletic program. He produced not only successful teams, but he produced successful young men who went on to take the lessons that they learned from Coach Waters, both in the class that they were obliged to take with Coach Waters, as well on the court as they were obliged to take with Coach Waters, and took them into life. Because the skills that a good coach, I believe, teaches on a basketball court go way beyond the utility of using them on a basketball court. And that's what Coach Waters, legacy is and will always be, and we will find another time to celebrate all of his achievements. But we're incredibly excited. I didn't know that we had 15 basketball coaches. We only had 6 presidents. I guess your longevity as a basketball coach is a little shorter than your longevity as a president. I want to thank all of you for being here. The athletics program brings us great students. It is materially important to building the campus culture that we're trying to build at Cleveland State. You've seen the increase in residential student population in and around Cleveland State. That, again, is part of this campus building community. But beyond campus, we are also trying to build a neighborhood community, and that's why we started a K-12 international baccalaureate school and a STEM high school on campus to make Cleveland State a neighborhood and make Cleveland State an educational park. And athletics is an extraordinarily important piece of this. So everybody who comes to a new place with the belief that it's a place where they can make a difference. I think that for me, that's the number one attribute I look for. Really not so much what someone has done before they got here, but what is their vision of how they can take what they did before they got here and plant it here. Because each of these gardens, although they're all green, grow very differently, look very differently when you get close to them. So I think that we have found a coach who brings both the experience. I think you heard him say, and again, I think this is also the mark of a great coach. The mark of a great coach is also sometimes the mark of a great teacher. And all great coaches, to me, fundamentally are great teachers. And we're going to try to coax Gary Waters to get into the classroom and take those skills he has as a teacher and spread them more widely across the campus. But what is that one attribute of a great teacher? The understanding that learning is a lifelong experience. And that what I taught 5 years ago may not be what I need to teach today. And how do I incorporate what is out there and what I've learned into what I'm doing now? So the fact that he came up here today and said that these last 5 years have been an incredible growing experience for him speaks to that to me, that most important attribute, the ability to listen, the ability to evaluate, the ability to learn, and then the ability to turn all of that into a game plan and a strategy. And I think that in Coach Felton, we really have an individual who's capable of doing that.